Wow. Life is good. Life's grand. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's, pretty mediocre. Over the last 18 months, I've been lucky enough to undertake some life-changing experiences that I never thought possible, all because of the connections I've made. It's created memories like this. Bit of this. That wind was about 45 knots. It was minus 25 at about 1,800 metres, so it was pretty brutal. It's also created memories like this. It's second day of the expedition and my first day on my own. I'm pretty stoked. I did about just shy of 24k today. I had to push on. I come around the side of a mountain and I didn't have anywhere flat to stay. And then I come around the corner and I found this most glorious spot. Bit of that as well. Lovely, isn't it? That is not me. And I can assure you, you do not go to the toilet like that in cold areas. My main drive and everything I've been doing is to get to touch that. That's the South Pole, Antarctica, coldest, driest, highest continent on the planet. Sounds great, doesn't it? What a dream, what a goal. But let's rewind a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love you all to close your eyes. I want to set a scene which dates back to my childhood. I want you to remember back to your mid to late teens. Remember what you were doing, remember what it was like, remember how much fun you were having. Bang! That noise reverberated around my town called Waiuku, New Zealand. That noise was suicide. My father was a suicide. My mind was an absolute blur, as you can imagine. It was, it wasn't good. I was in bed, obviously. It was mid-morning. My mum came running into my room and she was shouting, "He's done it, he's done it." Those words, I knew exactly what she'd said. Why did I know? Because he had told me that it was going to happen. Imagine being 17 years old and you know that your father's going to commit suicide. He'd come home drunk from the pub one night, and there were many, many of those drunken episodes. But that one I remember particularly well. He dragged me up to the shed. I was asleep. Dragged me up to the shed to tell me what he was doing. I was 15 at the time. I was lucky enough to play a decent level of rugby. Not great, but I really loved the sport. From the moment of the gunshot to the time the police arrived was about 20 minutes. That was the longest 20 minutes of my life, as you can imagine. When my mum had woken me up, I went and talked to the police to call them, to tell them to come. I then went around and saw my father's corpse. He was in the kitchen. And I just stood there. I just froze, as you would. How do you react to something like that? I looked around, found the gun. That wasn't safe, so I broke the gun down, put that on the kitchen table. My next instant thought was then to go and make sure that my brother and sister are okay. Unbelievably, they didn't hear any of the commotion. When the police arrived, obviously then chaos ensued because there was a weapon involved, and that sort of multiplied from there. We lived in rural New Zealand, so nothing ever happened quickly. Nothing happened quickly, except the grapevine. It spread like wildfire. Apparently my father had shot all of us and then shot himself. My best friend rang me up in the morning saying, "Gosh, I heard that your dad shot you too." Quite ironic considering I answered the phone and he asked me if I was okay. For the years after that, I just drifted. It was a very, very dark place that I was in. Sometimes it was great. Don't get me wrong, there were good moments, and I don't want it to seem like it was just awful the whole time. It wasn't. I had some cool times. Did some stupid stuff. But it was, I was just drifting in and out. I didn't know I didn't have a purpose. I didn't feel I had a purpose in life. I didn't feel that I was offering anything to anyone. It was just a period of my life that was just awful. I just felt like I was just wandering. I was just a lost soul. I didn't know how to interact with anyone. I didn't want to. But you wouldn't know that, because I was always a cheerful one. I was always the one out talking to people, having fun, being silly. Yeah, lots of silly. But it was hiding things. I was two people. This side over here was the fun John. And then when the door shut, this side here was the guy that hated everything. He hated his life. He hated everything about it. One of the defining moments that set the wheels in motion, essentially, is I had this thought about what happened one day when I came home from school. It was 7th form, so it was the last year of senior college. I'd made it. I was allowed to wear clothes like this. I didn't have to wear a uniform. That was the pinnacle of my life. Assembly was called, so we went in for assembly, and it was the day that they were announcing who the head boys and head girls were of the school, and the school councils and everything. So I just mucked around down the back, as I always do, and I never took things too seriously. That was my way of hiding. And then I heard, and John Dennis, and I think, oh, God, I'm in trouble again. There we go, more detention because I'm talking down the back. And everyone's going, no, you need to go up. And I was going, oh, well, I must be in trouble if I have to go up in front of assembly. And I'd just been named as deputy head boy. I didn't even know I'd been chosen. It was a private bid or seal or whatever they call it. Static. I walked up and tripped up the stairs as I was going to talk to the principal. Fell over. I'd been playing touch rugby the night before and I'd dislocated 2 fingers and broken one. Forgot about that because I was in so much painkillers. Reached out, shook my principal's hand and fell on both knees because I forgot that he was squeezing that with all of his might. Now, whether that was a bit of retribution, a bit of payback to pay me back for everything that had happened, I don't know. Then my darkness come, and it come back with vengeance. Fast forward 21 years to 2013, at the ripe old age of 38, I had hit rock bottom. I had nothing left in my tank. Everything sucked. There were weeks that I didn't get out of bed. There were days that I couldn't talk. I battled every day. I battled to get out of bed. I battled to get dressed. I argued with myself to get dressed because what was the point? There was nothing to get up for. But downstairs I had my beautiful wife and my 2 children. I was destroying my family because of what was going on. I was shackled into my bed. That's how dark it was. That's how bad. I felt like a room full of happy, and I was the dude in the red. I had nothing to give, I had nothing to offer. Not a nice way to be, is it really? Imagine that, 6'1", almost 110 kg ex-rugby player, crumbling in his bed, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to act, hating everything in life. Then, one day, I couldn't tell you when, but I can assure you a light bulb come on. My wife had dragged me to the doctors, kicking and screaming, saying, look, we've got to get you to the doctors, this has gone horribly wrong. I detested the whole way. I hated the fact that I had to go outside because I didn't want to go outside. We went to the doctors. That changed everything. I admitted I had a problem, and then all of a sudden, that was the first step to my recovery. That's when I decided that everything was a hell of a lot better in life. Okay, that was an abbreviated version, but it took a long time. But I said to myself one day in this epiphany of life, which I was going through, I said, don't let it define you. It will if you let it. Don't let it. Simple words, aren't they? Simple. Not so much. It wasn't simple. Sounds simple. It felt simple. Try telling that every negative thought in my head was going, that's a load of codswallop. Then the clock started ticking. I decided that's it. I need to get out and do stuff. I need to be proactive in life. I need to do things that's going to help people. I'd suffered my losses in my life. I almost became a statistic. So I set about setting up Expedition Dare to Express. But because I was fractionally mad still, I decided to create a business case and present it to my wife. It's logic. In the mind of a madman, that's perfect logic. I did that because I wanted to prove to her that I really wanted to do this. It was real. It wasn't a fleeting of my madness and my moments of sitting in my bedroom. I really wanted this. So I created my document. I was extremely proud. I even bought some Conqueror paper. That's how proud I was. 18 quid for a ream. Couldn't believe it. I had the cheek at the time to ask for a discount as well. So we sat down in the lounge, and I hadn't told her any of this. Now, I'd been planning this for weeks and weeks and weeks. I sat her down in the lounge and I said, darling, we need to turn the TV off. She knew something is bad if I have to turn the TV off. I said, look, I need to show you this. I need to show you what I'm doing. So I presented this business case. She broke down because I kept everything in. It's what men do. We're good at that. I found some startling statistics, which I'm obviously one of them. 1 in 4 people over the course of a year will break down. So what I'd like you to do is look to your sides. Have a look at the people beside you. If they look sane, I can guarantee it's you. Women are more likely to be treated than men. 100% true. We are unbelievably pig-headed when it comes to our own health. Look at that. 3 times more likely. 3 times. 5,000 men a year commit suicide. 13 a day. 13. That is an unbelievable statistic. Isn't that scary? I was almost one of those. The reason I'm not one of those is because I'd already suffered what I'd suffered. And I knew, even in my darkest times, and I really did think about it, I knew that wouldn't be fair. And it's unusual, and my psychiatrist said it was unusual for me to have that rationale at the time of my deepest, darkest. She actually told me that I was in the top 5 of her patients, the 5 worst patients she's treated. And she's been doing it for 25 years. I just wanted to give you a scale of how bad things were. Depression in children. I have them. Not the depressed children, but I have children. 80,000 in the UK. 80,000. 8,000 children under 10 suffer severe depression. I can't even define depression. How can a child define that? I just want that to sink in for a sec. 80,000 children and young people suffer from severe depression. As a parent, when I learned those stats, my heart plummeted because I was so worried that what I was doing would also then portray down through and then it become part of what my kids are seeing. So then I had this internal battle over here. I'm saying, no, you've got to go back to bed. And here's going, yeah. And over here, I'm going, you can't show that to your children. It's almost impossible to believe that you have to hide and shield your children from something. Then the dream of Antarctica really kicked in. Once those stats were digested, I'd become a little bit more onto it. And then I decided to come out of the closet. Not in the sense that you're thinking. I came out of the closet because talking about what I was doing is extremely hard. It's a variable conversation. It's not about sexuality. Coming out of the closet, people liken to sexuality. It's not about that. It's because it's a hard conversation to have. It's linked to, we can have a conversation about cancer, bad grades, crashed in a car, done that, sexuality, or the good old divorce, or you've lost your job. It's not that any of those are any better or any worse than the other. What it is, it's a hard conversation to have with someone. And that's exactly how I felt. Yeah. It's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey to get to where I am. But I just said I needed help. So I jumped into using my network. Without it, it doesn't work. So I was on the phone, I was emailing people, I was talking to Serena Fines. Amazing conversation with that. He's as mad as a box of frogs. I was talking to Ben Saunders, a polar god, Hannah McKean, one of the greatest all-time polar explorers. And all these people helped me get to the position I am today. Everyone starts from somewhere. Just because of this labelled adventurer means something, it doesn't. It's just everyone has to start from some position. So don't be afraid to dive into your network and become connected with your people to help you get to the goal that you want to achieve. All my ducks got on a row. I was very happy. I've become a lot more self-conscious of things and the way everything was running, and it all just came together just perfectly, you know. My story is not about a self-indulgent thing to go to the South Pole. I want it to be more than that. I want it to be inspiration. I want it to be hope. I want it to be most motivation. I want it to be life-changing, not just for me, but for the people that are involved in it. Most of all, I want it to show about recovery and that you can get through these awful, awful periods of your life. And it always seems really dark, and everyone always talks about the negative side of it, which I've obviously done to highlight the severity of it. There's a bigger life out there. I will manage my depression for the rest of my life. I know that, and I've had it now. I know I've had it all my life. I'll manage it for the rest of my life. Don't be afraid to seek help. Don't be afraid to hold it in. I mean, don't be afraid to let it out. Don't hold it in. Go talking to people, especially you guys. And that big fellow over there keeps on nodding his head. It's just a vessel to tell my story. That's all it is. Yes, it's a great thing I want to do. I want to go and do a solo expedition across Antarctica. The reason I'm not there is, unfortunately, my sponsors pulled out 8 weeks ago. I was supposed to have started tomorrow. The end goal is to create a sanctuary. This is what Dare to Express means. I want to create a sanctuary where we can get people suffering from depression and mental health, and we can start talking about it in an environment like this. Not a sterile environment where you're talking in a psychiatric room, which I was unfortunately stuck in. Horrible, pasty, smoky, grey thing it was. Imagine doing that while you're in recovery. A, it's hard to get there, but B, if you're out there doing that, it makes things a hell of a lot easier. I do a lot of walking in the South Downs. Being outdoors, 20 minutes a day, if you're not even, it doesn't matter if you're feeling ill, just get out and do it. You'll feel so much better for 20 minutes. Just get out, touch the grass, take your feet off. Even if you don't walk around, put your feet in grass. I can assure you, it's the most exhilarating feeling. The quote that I pretty much live by Nelson Mandela. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. That resonates around my heart because it's been so, I've got that on my office. And it's so true to everything I've been doing. It's not about, you can change the words around and make it what you want it to make it, but it's so relevant to me. But before I go, I want to do a little bit of role play. So, I want this group here to shout dare, right? This group here to do to. This group here to do express. All right? Can we do that? Ready?
Dare to express.
Oh, come on.
Dare to express.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.